Hey folks, Will Clark here. This algebra lesson is on solving with the zero product property in GCF. Okay, this is the beginning of factoring. Okay, so zero product property says this. If something times something equals zero, then either this guy's got to be zero and or this guy's got to be zero. Okay, and that's the basic thing of solving quadratic. So solve the equation. Okay, so here I have this quantity times this quantity equals zero. So by the zero product property, I can set x minus 2 equal to 0 and set x plus 5 equal to 0 and solve. So here I'm going to go plus 2 plus 2. Here I'm going to go minus 5 minus 5. And you get x equals 2 or negative 5. Okay, how about this one? Okay, so set those factors equal to 0. And so here I went plus 1, and then divided by 2, I got 1/2. Here I went minus 2, and divided by 3, and I got negative 2/3. Okay, so that's what's good about the zero product property. Okay, so let's change direction just a little bit, and then we'll come back to that. Factor out a GCF. Okay, what's the biggest factor I can pull out of a 12 and a 42? Okay, I can't pull any common letters out, any variables out. Looks like 6 can go into both of those, you guys. So if you can recognize 6 can go into both those, so I'm going to pull the biggest number that goes into both those, which is 6, that gets pulled out. So there it is, 6 got factored out. So it's 6 times the quantity 2x plus 7y, and that's your answer right there. Alright, so do the same with this guy. Okay, it looks like, well, obviously 7 goes into both those, but the biggest group of y's I can pull out is y squared. Okay, can you see that? I'm going to pull that 7y squared out of both of those, and there it is. I've GCF'd out a 7y squared, so it's left with times 2y plus 3. Alright, so let's solve these equations. Okay, so that first one right up there, we're going to go ahead and solve that. So we factor it, you guys, and then by the zero product property, once you factor it, then you have something times something equals 0. So set this guy equal to 0 and set this factor equal to 0. Okay, so 7y squared equals 0, or 2y plus 3 equals 0. So 7y squared, you get, 7 times 0 squared is 0, so y equals 0. Here I subtract 3 and divide by 2, and you get a negative 3/2. Alright, so the beauty of factoring is you can set them, first they got to be set equal to 0, then you can use your zero product property. Alright, so here we go. Going to go ahead and set it equal to 0, so I got to get rid of that minus 18x and add 18x to both sides. Okay, so now I have 3x squared plus 18x equals 0. I'm going to go ahead and GCF out a 3x out of this left-hand side right here. When I pull a 3x out, and just think about this, you guys. GCF is the opposite of multiplying. Remember back in the last chapter, I would have said multiply this guy times this guy, and you would have distributed this 3x through, and it would have just got you back up to there. Factoring is the opposite of multiplying, so you go backwards. So 3x times x plus 6 gets me that, and then when you got this factored, you guys, you just set the factors equal to 0. So 3x equals 0, or x plus 6 equals 0. Okay, so you get x equals 0 or x equals negative 6. Okay, I did some minus 6 minus 6. 3 times what number equals 0? 3 times 0 equals 0, so x must be 0. All right, okay, so find the roots. Finding the roots means set it equal to 0 and solving. Okay, finding the roots is the exact same thing as setting it equal to 0 and solving. So go ahead and factor. I can pull a 2 out of both those guys and an x out of both those guys. All right, so when I do that, I'm left with, remember, factoring is the opposite of multiplying. Just think to yourself, redistribute 2x through. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. 2x times negative 7 is that. So I did factor that. Now I set 2x equal to 0 and 2x minus 7 equal to 0. And then add 7 to both sides, and you get 7/2. And so x equals 0 and or 7/2. All right. And there's your homework assignment if you are in my class.